Hi guys, my name's Chris. I'm from Specialized Technologies, and today I'm going to be showing you how to run a Real Studio Web Edition app on a Linux virtual machine. Now this Linux virtual machine will run from your computer, and it involves a few different bits and pieces that you need. First one, of course, is VirtualBox. You can download VirtualBox for Windows, Mac and Linux. You also need the operating system, which is in this case Turnkey Linux. I'm just going to be using the ISO file, so this is the one you want to download. If you want to know what all these other things are, you'll need to look up all the different hypervisors on Google and see what they all are. But this one's just a machine image, and it's going to install straight onto our virtual machine. I also use PuTTY. It's a little bit easier to use than some of the Java-based consoles that they have, but you'll see that in action shortly. And FileZilla for file transfer, FTP client. Okay, so let's go. VirtualBox. The first thing we need to do is run it, of course, and we're going to create a new operating system, new virtual system, and I'm going to choose Debian. This really isn't that important, it's just a bit of a guideline. Allows you to see how much RAM they recommend and stuff. I'm just going to run it with a gig of RAM. I'm going to create a hard drive. I'm just going to choose VirtualBox disk image. If you want to see what the other ones do, feel free to Google. Dynamically allocated. I explained it before in the other video what it does, but it's basically, if it's dynamic, it'll be less than the maximum file size. If it's fixed, it'll just be the maximum file size. So we're just going to go with a 4 gig hard drive. Now we do need to configure a few things. So the first thing we're going to do is go into System. Apologise for rushing through this, but it will not fit into 10 minutes if I don't do it. So we're going to boot from the CD-ROM first and then the hard drive. Okay, we won't go through all the other options. So the video is set up okay. The storage, we need to set this as the drive image you want to boot from, so that's the one we just downloaded. Audio, not interested. Network adapter, set that one to abridged. And make sure you've got the correct LAN card if you've got more than one. USB, not interested. Okay, now we're going to fire it up. And it started on my other screen there. Okay, so we want to install, and away it goes. Racing to see if I beat the 10-minute mark. If this is a bit quick for everyone and you would prefer a longer breakdown of what everything does in VirtualBox and that sort of thing, you can always do that later. Okay, so I'm going to set this up as LVM. Yes. Okay. Okay. This is obviously the installation routine, and I'm just blitzing through it. Okay, yes. That was asking if we wanted to install Grub, by the way. Yes, I would like to restart. Okay, I'm going to start up again. Now when this boots, it's going to run a couple of initialization scripts that will seed the appropriate passwords we want, and they are mostly, what are they? They're the root account and MySQL and maybe a couple of other things. Okay, Come on. Okay, so type in your password. And then the SQL. Takes a little while, this last password seed. Okay, now I won't explain what this is, but we're going to skip it right now. Oh no, it's basically just a backup thing called Turnkey Linux Backup and Migration. That's installing the security updates. I'm just going to skip that. You normally would install those. Okay, now what we want to do is set a static IP. So we're going to go into networking, static IP, go across, put in an IP you know is available, apply it. You can see it's already chosen the DNS servers and everything, which is good. And then I'm going to back out of that. I'm going to quit. Yes, I want to quit. And then I can log in. Now I want to shut down. So I just type the command shutdown -r now, and that will reboot. Okay, it starts up again. It's important to shut down at that point because you've changed a couple of things with the networking, and shutting down just ensures that everything's okay. You could just restart networking if you wanted to, but I want to go the whole hog. Okay, we're starting up. Okay, now I'm just going to minimize that screen. We don't need to worry about that too much anymore. Now what we need to do is connect via PuTTY, and we're going to remove a few things from the server. Now this is just warning that I've never been into this server before, so it might not be the one I expect it to be. It's a very unlikely attack, but it can happen. Okay, now what I need to do, if I go to cd var www, and you'll see here I've got a CGI bin and a few other bits and pieces. So if I was to open up a web page and actually go to 192.168.0.150, okay, that's the server I just set up. Now I want to clear all this Turnkey Linux stuff off. Incidentally, phpMyAdmin would be very handy for you for setting up databases and stuff, a little bit beyond the realm of this quick tutorial to show you how to do that. So I'm going to remove everything recursively within this folder, within this folder and this folder and all that sort of stuff. And I can see that it's all gone except for CGI bin, which is what I want. Now I want to CD into that because I think there's a test CGI in there. Yes, there is. I want to remove that. Okay, and now if I go back to my browser and refresh, there's nothing in there except for CGI bin. Okay, now what I'm going to do is get all my files and transfer them onto the server we've just set up. It's important that you put port 22 in there because it's set up as secure FTP by default. I'm going to connect. Why am I refused? 150 might help. Yep, there we go. And VAR www CGI. Now I want to put everything here. That's the video I'm currently creating, so I won't upload that. I want to upload all that stuff. I can do that simply from there. Okay, that's all in there. Now I just want to change the permissions, so I'm going to chmod everything. to 777. Oops. www. Oops. And I can see everything's nice and green now. So you wouldn't do that in a production environment because everyone can do everything to anything. But for testing, that is fine. Now what I want to do is go in and actually test my app. So I do that by going to the CGI bin folder. You can do name rewrites on this so it doesn't actually show that, but that's beyond this lecture. Now if I go into that, there's my web page. Look at that. So all I've done is put a label and a button so that when I click the button it goes to web page 2. This is web page 2. Click here for 1 and then it goes back. Not a very exciting web page, but you can see exactly what happens when you use Turnkey Linux and VirtualBox. Thanks for watching.